chosen as a finalist to the Forward Magazine Book of the Year Awards in 2009, and she works as a licensed mental health counselor for children and families, as well as a consultant parenting educator, writer, public speaker, and children's rights activist. She's founder of the Laurie A. Couture.org and is a board member of Parents and Teachers Against Violence in Education. And she appears in the documentary film The War on Kids, which came out this year, and she's a contributor to Life Learning Magazine, Kindred Magazine, Mothering.com, and several other publications and websites. She mentors a disadvantaged teen and has previously worked in the fields of social and early childhood education, and she's also a human rights and environmental activist as well as an artist and photographer. She is the author of the comic series, The Hypocrisy Chronicles. Her writing and advocacy on behalf of children have reached an international audience, and she unschools her 15-year-old son, Bryson R. Couture, who is a professional choral singer and the creator of themed homemade stuffed toys. He's also in the process of writing book 1 of a fantasy trilogy. So welcome to Laurie. Thank you. I'm going to start out by asking the question, with all of the social services we have, the special education programs, the mental health counselors, and all of the helping services we have, why do you think that things don't get better for families and kids? We have a wonderful functional family here, but unfortunately, in the field I work with, there are many others that are not functioning in our society. And unfortunately, those families are really hurting, and they are, unfortunately, those families sometimes contribute to more family suffering. So does anybody have any idea on just what you think is missing out of that, why those programs don't seem to help? Does anyone have any idea? Nobody's home? Okay, no parents at home? You're getting really warm there. Anybody else? And that's definitely a piece of it, absolutely. Any other ideas?
How about around that family is not what it used to be.
Absolutely, that's definitely a big piece of that. Yeah.
How about lack of communication?
Lack of communication between family members? Absolutely, that's a piece. Lack of community. Lack of community. Absolutely. Just, the gentleman has said that it really is a lack that we have. Any other ideas? Anyone else want to share with you? I asked myself many questions starting about, 16 years ago or so when I started working with kids. And I've worn many hats working with children and families. I started out just as a babysitter when I was in high school. And then I had done some art with kids. I did art teaching. And then I worked in early childhood education for a while. I worked as a social worker for a while. And then I decided to become a mental health counselor. And I did some consulting. And so I've worked with families in almost every single capacity that I could without some other degree other than the licensed counseling. And I started asking a lot of questions like that. Why is it that if this mom is such a good mom, this 2-year-old is tantruming endlessly and is aggressive and violent, were we born to be violent? I started asking questions about why is it that no matter how many services are put in place here, this kid isn't doing any better. And looking around in our culture. And I asked probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions. And I read and I read. And then I read this book called The Continuum Concept, and that was probably the first door I took into looking beyond our culture for the answers. A lot of times when we're sick or we have a problem or we're concerned about something, we look to our own culture for the answers. And unfortunately, our culture has been based on many problematic ideas that have separated humanity from one another, and hence the lack of community. So I decided to look beyond industrialized culture, which expands, it's not just United States, it's all of the industrialized cultures. And I started to do some study of tribal cultures, which led me to finding literature on cultures that are actually living non-violently and have been living that way for thousands of years. And that led me to, what are those people doing? Are those people somehow spiritually better than us? Are these people physically better than us? What is it about these people that they do not feel the need to be violent and hateful towards one another?